Alright, it's Mr. Bernay. We're going to look at the first Khan Academy assignment in this new unit. It has to do with unit rates. A couple different ways you can solve these unit rates. And unit rates are when you see things like here per minute. That means per minute means every 1 minute. So a unit rate is similar to a regular rate. But you can also solve it using a proportion. So I'll show you a couple different ways to solve this. So it says Delia does 184 jumping jacks in 4 minutes. She does her jumping jacks at a constant rate. Okay, that means she doesn't speed up or slow down. She goes at the same speed over the 4 minutes. How many jumping jacks can Delia do per minute? So for every 1 minute, how many jumping jacks can she do? Alright, so it gives you this information. We know that she does 184 jumping jacks in 4 minutes. So I'm going to make a ratio out of that. 184, and I say 184 jumping jacks, JJ. It's always a good idea to label your numbers when you're doing these, and I'll show you why in just a minute. So 184 jumping jacks in 4 minutes. Alright, so this is a ratio that compares the number of jumping jacks she does to how many minutes she does them in. So 184 jumping jacks on top, 4 minutes on bottom in my ratio. To figure out your unit rate, what you can do is make a proportion. So a proportion is two ratios that are set equal to one another. And we're looking for per minute here. So in a proportion, you want to keep the units consistent. So if you have minutes on bottom, like I do on the left side, you want minutes on bottom over here as well. So we're looking for how many she can do in 1 minute. We don't know how many she can do, so we're going to call that X. And X goes on top because we're looking for how many jumping jacks she can do in 1 minute. Jumping jacks on top on the left side, jumping jacks on top on the right side. Minutes on bottom on the left, minutes on bottom on the right. Alright, so this is the proportion that we can use to solve this problem. To solve a proportion, you use cross multiplication. So I'm going to multiply across here, multiplying 184 times 1 times 1. And that is equal to, that says times there. Set that equal to 4 times x. 4 times x. So this is just how you solve any proportion problem. So let's do the multiplication on both sides. 184 times 1 is 184. 184. And then on the other side we have 4 times x. Now our next step, you'll recognize this as just a one-step equation. So now to get x by itself, we're trying to solve for x here. We're wanting to know how many jumping jacks you can do for in 1 minute. So to solve for x, we just divide by 4 because that's the opposite of multiplying by 4. So whatever we do to one side, we have to do the other side. Those cancel out, so we have x on one side. X is equal to 184 divided by 4, which is 46. X equals 46 here. So the answer to how many jumping jacks can Delia do in 1 minute is 46. And we got that answer by setting it up as a proportion. 184 jumping jacks in 4 minutes is equal to how many jumping jacks can she do in 1 minute. We did our cross multiplication, 4 times x and 184 times 1. And then we solved for x. Some of you might recognize this right away, but for a rate problem, when you're solving for a unit rate, when it says per minute or like miles per hour or something like that, all you need to do is really just divide this number, 184, by this number. And that'll tell you how many jumping jacks she does per minute. And we essentially did that over here, 184 divided by 4, we did that in our last step. But what I did with this proportion was to show you sort of the logic behind why that works. But in the end, all I wound up doing was dividing 184 by 4 to get how many she could do in 1 minute. Alright, that makes sense because you're dividing by 4 minutes. So that means each group, so these 4 groups that you're dividing into is 1 minute per group. So in 1 minute, she can do 46. Alright, so our answer should be 46 jumping jacks.